Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for February 4th, 2025. Thank you, everybody, joining me here today. You can join us on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan. You can also watch on Facebook, or you can watch on X, at Matt Skraby, MattsKraby, as in boy, Y, and Twitch. For all you Twitchers out there, you can do at 97.3 The Fan. I'm not going to lie, there's not a lot of Padres news tonight, everybody. There's not a lot going on in Padres land, which is unfortunate because I know we all want stuff to happen. But I wanted to start today's show making all Padres fans feel a little bit better about themselves and about their team. Because at least you're not a Mariners fan. And at least you don't have a general manager who says this about their roster heading into spring training. This was on MLB Network this morning. This is where I saw this. But the quote is from Jerry DiPoto, the general manager for the Mariners. It says, Jerry DiPoto on Mariners' quiet offseason. Quote, I think that's reflective of a team that didn't have a whole lot of holes to fill, which Mariners fans immediately let him know that there are many holes on their team. So I wanted to start today to make everybody feel a little bit better about the current situation. Because if our GM said that, AJ Preller, you better believe it would be a big deal. Because we all know there are holes to fill on this team. The Mariners themselves are a team that has struggled to win has just struggled. They're building something, but I cannot believe that a GM would actually say this because they don't really, it's not true. There's plenty of things that the Mariners could be doing this offseason. So again, what I'm trying to say is the San Diego Padres have a GM that knows he needs to get a job done, and he's not trying to sugarcoat things that are happening in the offseason. So sorry, Mariners fans. I know I talked to one of you earlier, and I'm sorry, Jerry DiPoto is the president in baseball operations, but I talked to a Mariners fan earlier, and they were very upset with their team because their team has not, over the years, been competitive enough to make the playoffs, make a deep run in the playoffs. So I don't know what Jerry DiPoto's saying here. I think it's pretty dumb that he said that because you can't let your fan base think that you don't have a chance. And I guess he's not really saying that, but I read this as, hey, we're not going to be going out and getting big players. So that's why I'm going to say this, is that I'm going to try to spin it. I'm going to try to shine this turd and say there wasn't a lot of holes to fill at all. So there you go, Padres fans. Feel a little bit better about that because I would not be a fan of AJ Preller if he said that in public. Private, maybe. We would never hear about it. But publicly, that's a weird quote to say, Jerry DiPoto heading into spring training. All right, let's get into why I named the YouTube today. We made it Skrabinators. Because if you didn't hear the beginning of the show with Gwen and Chris, then you are going to find out for the first time that the Skraby Show has made it all the way to Sports Illustrated. I think this is pretty cool. I'm not going to do this every time I see an article with something that I said in it, but this is the first time that I've seen this sort of article with something that I said in it. And it was about Roki Sasaki, so it fits me very, very well. The hilarious part of it is that my name is Mar in the article. It says Mar Skraby of 97.3 The Fan, radio home of the Padres, insisted that it might be time to hit the panic button. It's all part of the article. But MARR is now my alter ego. And I like it. I think it's funny. I think it's kind of hilarious, actually, to have Mar be my name on this article. But I want to give the guy, I want to give him a little bit of credit. Gabe Smolson, I'm not sure how much Gabe listens, but somehow they found me saying this, and somehow it became an article. So, Skrabinators, you're sitting here with one of the, preeminent Padres voices on the radio in San Diego. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that full of myself, really. But we made it, Skrabinators, and we're going to continue to make it. This thing is just going to get better and better and better and better and better. Since there's no Padres to really talk about, I wanted to talk about what's going on with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, I said yesterday I was going to actually talk about the case study of how not to pull the rug from your fans. And I think that there is something to be learned by all the different sports organizations out there. I think there is something that people can take from this, and I think that this is something that they need to pay attention to, because Mavs fans are very, very angry about trading Luka Doncic, and I don't really blame them. There's so many different things that go into trading a player and trading a player of this ilk. But here's a fan on the Dallas Fox 4 channel talking about how he feels after they traded Luka Doncic.
I've been a Mavs my whole entire life since I've been a baby. This is the worst moment in the history of my life. This is ridiculous. This is crazy, man. We went to the NBA Finals. Why are we trading the best player, the franchise player? How are we trading the franchise player? We went to the NBA Finals. He's supposed to have a statue. Hell yeah. He's supposed to have a statue. Dirk got a statue right there. It's supposed to be Luka right there. Why we don't got a statue for Luka?
All right, so this guy is obviously very upset, and he's making great points. He's making amazing points. And I think when I'm saying this is a case study is when someone like Luka Doncic is going to be traded from your team, you're not just affecting the team itself. You are affecting everything from fans to people that work for the team, like traders. You're affecting everyone when you make these big decisions like this. Nate says that guy had a sad life. You know what, Nate? I don't disagree, but I know that there are certain people I've seen that have had that reaction about things that have happened in San Diego. But think about this. This guy, obviously, massive Dallas Mavericks fan, said he was a fan since he was a baby. He was wearing his Luka Doncic jersey. Now what do you do with those jerseys? You can't burn them. Don't burn them. But what do you do with those jerseys? Now it's just a bad reminder of a decision that your team made that you didn't agree with. And Mark Cuban, who used to own the Mavs, now he doesn't have any say over anything. So them trading Luka Doncic does not mean that he gets to have an opinion on it, or it means that he gets to actually be mad about this because he gave up his spot with the team. But he was even like, what are they doing? A lot of people were saying that. Chris said it, and I looked in the break about different reporters in the Dallas area saying this. Ownership in sports, certain teams, ownership in sports has gone from wanting to create a legacy, kind of like what Peter Seidler wanted and wants to create. He wants to create this legacy that he was the guy who brought a championship to San Diego. And so ownership was that before, wanting to create your legacy and make yourself a hero in the city you have your team in. Now it does seem like a lot of decisions are being made based upon how much money the shareholders are going to make. And that's not, to me, how a sports organization is run. The sports organization is not a place for people to just make money off of, in my opinion. Now, I know that's how it works, and I know that that's how it's going to be. But to me, a sports organization has a little bit more of a responsibility to the public than I think other businesses in a city, because they are representing your city. They're representing everyone in that city. And when you go and you just randomly trade a Luka Doncic to the Lakers, you are immediately alienating a lot of your fans that have been behind you forever. This decision it involves so much more than just the GM, Luka Doncic, and Lakers. Fans or front office don't need to pay attention to fans all the time. But I think something like this, there has to be some thought of how will our fan base feel about this. Like, again, you're not making a decision based on how your fan base feels, but you are making a decision that's going to affect a lot of people. And ultimately, fans are what make the organization run. And so I don't understand why these organizations are now turning towards just making money rather than putting out a winner. It's crazy to me. You have a bunch of different, like, what are they called? Investment groups that just buy teams now. So you have a ton of owners instead of, one family that owns it. Now, I'm not saying that being a family who runs a team and owns a team is the right way to go either, because we've seen plenty of circumstances where that's not right. And you could even argue that maybe they need to make more money than some of the investment groups, but it's just not like it's not like what it used to be anymore. Winning a championship comes secondary to making money for these rich people. And yes, I'm complaining about the rich people again, but it's affecting every part of our life now. You can't go anywhere without having some sort of fee being charged because someone doesn't want to give up any money. I don't really get it. I don't. And it makes me sad, honestly. It makes me a little sad just because, like, when I was growing up, I was a 49ers fan through and through, as all of you know. And I feel like when I was growing up, the 49ers cared a lot about winning. And then it became a lot of, with the 49ers, it became more about the stadium that they wanted to build. And they were going to uproot and go to Santa Clara. I'm not going to go down that road again because I've gotten in trouble for that, comparing it to the Charger situation. They're different, but they're similar in some ways. But that's when it became more of a money-making business, a profit-loss thing, rather than winning because you want to represent your city. And I know that I sound old again. But I can't think any other way. There's so many decisions that are being made for money purposes rather than roster purposes, and that's I don't really know why this happens. I don't know, other than greed maybe. On the chat says, I agree it's a different type of business, but fans mean nothing. If that were the case, 56 years of loyalty would mean the Chargers stay in SD. Dallas still has the Mavs. It's money. The Chargers, well, yes, it is all money. But the Chargers, I guess, I'm not saying I agree with it. I guess they saw more money in LA. And yes, that's why they moved. Because they didn't want to have to pay for a stadium. They didn't want to have to, there's much more. I'm making this way too simple because I was here throughout all of that. And it's much more complicated than just, hey, they didn't want to pay for a stadium. But it's kind of weird to me. Fans don't mean nothing, though. Because without fans, that's why the Chargers moved. Because they saw money signs. Fans do mean something. If no fans want to cheer for your team, no fans want to buy merchandise, no fans want to buy tickets, then that's an issue. But until, I guess, fans around sports, if your team, I'm not just talking Padres, I'm talking all sports. If your team is taking a paycheck over making the team better, you have a right to be angry. You have a right to be angry. Gonzo called me old man Skraby. It's true. I don't know why I feel like I'm 90 years old half the time, but I do. And I think this is something that teams need to pay attention to. A case study of how not to anger your entire fan base. I do think it's crazy, though, that some Mavs fans are saying they won't forgive the team even if they win a title this year. If they win a title this year, all's forgiven. You can't be mad at your team if they win a title. It means that the move that they made was the right move. So I don't know that you can be actually mad if you win a championship after doing all of that. Okay. There was my rant of the day. Now let's get into something fun, because on the other side, we're going to look at some of the players that are chasing records in Major League Baseball this season. Sarah Lang's put out a nice article. So we're going to go through and see what type of records we could see this year, what type of feats we could see this year, and we'll go forward from there. You're listening to The Skraby Show with Mar Skraby, or Matt Skraby, on 97.3 The Fan. Matt Skraby. Skraby Show 97.3 The Fan. Getting a little pushback about Luka Doncic, which is fine. Not about the fan thing, but about why the Mavs decided to let him go. Which I do understand there's probably things that we just don't know. We just don't know the full story, which is something I've been trying to not jump to conclusions without knowing the full story. But Sean says, let's see. I got to go back up. Sean says, how much contract did he have left? Did they figure they weren't going to be able to re-sign him and he's putting too much of the cap in his pocket, which I did read is a thing. Luka was going to be, like eligible for the super max, which I believe was going to pay him around like $60 or $65 million a year, which don't quote me on that because I'm not exactly sure about that. But if there is some sort of roster explanation for it, as a fan, if you give me that explanation, I think I could probably buy into it a little bit easier than, well, he just was out of shape, and so we wanted to move him. And again, the Mavericks, as Chris and Tony both say, may be actually even better. So it might be the best thing for the Mavs. I'm just saying, like, how do you let someone... I also think we're talking about one of the best players in the NBA in the last, like, 10 years. Because he's been to at least the Western Conference Finals. I think the 2 out of the last 3 years, they went to the NBA Finals last year. So if you're getting that close to a championship, you got to think that Luka's a big part of that. But again, if there was some sort of explanation as to why they needed to move him, maybe we don't want to pay him the $65 million a year because we need to sign other people, other players, that's fine. There's just has been no explanation of that. Rod says, I think the Shark Tank owner didn't have the heart to go get rid of him. New ownership didn't hesitate. We're talking about Mark Cuban. Possibly, but Mark Cuban is also a business guy, and he didn't care, right? He has a lot of money. He put a lot of money into that team. I remember watching something with Dirk Nowitzki, and he was saying that the Dallas Mavericks have one of the best setups at home of any team in the NBA because Mark Cuban put so much money into them being comfortable, traveling, all of that. Mark Cuban wanted to win. That's why I think that he's so upset with this, because he brought Luka in. Sean said, we had to let Soto go. Yeah, they did have to let Soto go. Because baseball's a little bit different, I guess. It is. Each sport is different, but the Padres weren't going to pay Juan Soto $75 million a year, or whatever the heck he's getting paid by the Mets. That's just a fact. In the NBA, you have that super max that you're eligible for. I don't really even understand the Supermax 100%. I'm going to do some more roster research on this whole Luka thing. I'm going to go dig deep and find out why they didn't value Luka Doncic as much as, say, all the fans did. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little bit of research and stop talking about things I may not know the answers to. All right, we're going to take a quick detour. And then we're going to talk about those players that are vying for the record books. But there is one show that has just been released on Netflix. And it is one of my favorite shows as a child, as a kid, as a child. That was weird. But here it is. And I watch it all the time now. Home Improvement. This is a really bad version of this. It's like someone filmed their TV. I didn't get a chance to look at it. Home Improvement is on Netflix now. I love Home Improvement so much. And I've been watching all the seasons. I don't know if anybody else likes Home Improvement, but Home Improvement was amazing. And Home Improvement was something that I watched all the time growing up. So I'm really happy that it's on Netflix. And I was wondering, is Home Improvement going to hold up over the years? Is it still going to be funny? And I can tell you it's still funny. There's still some good jokes in Home Improvement. But I love Home Improvement. First thing I see on the chat, Katrina, can't stand Tim Allen. Well, that answers that, I guess. I think it's funny. But I've been watching a lot of Home Improvement, so I had to mention that to everyone. Because it is on Netflix. Go watch it right now. All right, these 10 players vying for the record books in 2025. Now, the first one they have is Bobby Witt Jr. He's looking for his third consecutive 30-30 season. He's just the 8th player to record at least 2 consecutive 30-30 seasons. And there's some good names on it. Willie Mays, Bobby Bonds, Barry Bonds, Vlad Sr., Alfonso Soriano, Ryan Braun. Witt would be the second player in baseball history to do this. The only player with 3 straight 30-30 seasons, Barry Bonds. So Bobby Witt would be the second person in history to do that if he can do that. And I think he will do that unless he gets hurt or something like that. I love Barry Bonds. And I love Bobby Witt is what I meant to say. Bobby Witt was on my fantasy team last year. Won me a championship. Thank you, Bobby Witt. Now, Juan Soto is looking for his 8th straight 400 or above on-base percentage, 5th season with 25 homers and 125 plus walks. I don't really want to talk about this one too much, but yep, he's looking for his 8th straight year of over 400 OBP and 5th season of 25 homers and 125 walks. If he stays healthy, he'll probably get that. Now, Shohei Ohtani is looking at some crazy stuff this year. In 2025, he's going to pitch, as we know. There's only one player in Major League history to have more than 15 home runs as a hitter and at least 100 strikeouts as a pitcher in a season. That would be Shohei Ohtani. 2021, 2022, and 2023. He would join... Ohtani would actually, because he can steal bases too, he's starting to join the consecutive 30-30 club as well. So Shohei Ohtani is just incredible. I hate to say it because he's on the Dodgers, but he really is. He's just doing things that people just don't do at the Major League level. This would be Ohtani's 4th season with at least 40 homers and 20 stolen bases if he does it this year, tying A-Rod for the most such seasons in a career. His 3 seasons as of now are tied for second most with Bonds and Jose Canseco. So Shohei Ohtani... we're going to be watching him this year. Now, here's another one. Paul Skeens. You know, he had a great rookie year. He won Rookie of the Year, blah, 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 blah. But if he leads at the end of the year, if he's a leader in ERA and strikeouts at 23 years and 122 days old on the final day of the season, Paul Skeens would become the 4th youngest to lead all qualified MLB pitchers for an ERA for a season since earned runs became official in both leagues in 1913. The only pitchers to do so at a younger age than Paul Skeens, Dwight Gooden was 20 years old, almost 21. Mark Fidrich in 1976, he was 22. Dutch Leonard in 1914, he was 22. And if you add in the leading Major League Baseball in strikeouts, the only player to lead both in a season before turning 24, which is what Paul Skeens would do if he does at the end of the year win the ERA title and strikeout title, would be Dwight Gooden. So you're being mentioned in great. If you're in a group with those guys, you're doing something right. But Paul Skeens, obviously, he's probably going to have a big year. I'm just going to have to get over it. I don't hate Paul Skeens, the guy. I really don't. I just hate the coverage of Paul Skeens. Aaron Judge, 46 home runs and 170 WRC plus, just 10 players. If he hits over 45 home runs this year, it would mark his 4th season with at least 45. Just 10 players in Major League history of at least 4 seasons. Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, A-Rod, Sammy Sosa, Ken Griffey Jr., Mark McGwire, Harmon Killebrew, Ryan Howard, Willie Mays, and Lou Gehrig. So if he has 46 home runs, Aaron Judge is looking at joining that crew. We already talked about Luis Arraez. If he wins the batting title with the Padres this year, it would be his 4th consecutive batting title. There's only 6 other players in history that have done this. Ty Cobb, Rogers Hornsby, Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, Rod Carew, and Honus Wagner. And some of the other ones, like Jose Ramirez, he's projected for 30 home runs and 31 stolen bases. He's already the only player in Guardians history with multiple 30 stolen base seasons. And if he does it again, he would be up to 3. He would be one of 2 third basemen with multiple 30-30 seasons. Sorry, I had to cough. And his third would tie Howard Johnson for most of the position. He also would join the list above of consecutive 30-30 seasons with Bobby Witt Jr. and all that. I don't know what just happened to my voice, everybody. But there you go. I think my voice was telling me that you should move off that topic because it wasn't as great as you thought it was going to be. So that's what I'm going to do. When we get back, we have more. We have a lot more to talk about. And I'm going to also go get some water. So stick with me. Skraby Show. More Skraby Show on the way.
Ben and
Final segment here. The Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan. The Skraby Show. Matt Skraby, or Mar Skraby. If you missed that story, go back to the beginning of the Skraby Show. You'll be able to hear all about it. Someone DM me in the break. Are you, mad that they called you that? No, I'm not mad at all. I'm not someone who takes myself that seriously. Honestly, it's not a big deal. It was just fun to be mentioned in a Sports Illustrated article. And then, when you read things that you say, it makes you seem a little bit smarter than you actually are when you say it. Because I did not, when I read it, I was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then it said, Mar Skraby said. So it was great. It was great. We are about 8 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting for the Padres in Peoria for spring training. It can't get here soon enough. We are in the final stretches of this season. We're in the final stretches of this offseason, and this is where it gets a little tough. And it gets really tough because the Padres haven't made any moves. Really. I mean, they haven't. So things right now are very slow. Baseball teams are starting to just pack everything up, head out to their spring training facilities. So we're not getting a lot of baseball news today. And we're not going to get a lot of baseball news, I don't think, for the next couple days. But if there's anything that I need to bring you, I will definitely do that. I was reading earlier today because someone asked me if I watched the Pro Bowl. And I honestly forgot about the Pro Bowl altogether. And that's not a joke. I was planning on just tuning in for a little bit to see what they were doing at the Pro Bowl, which is now a flag football game. I said this before. I think they should just get rid of it, but there's too much money to be made if they get rid of it, so they're not going to. But this might push them in the right direction because the TV ratings are out, and I think the NFL is going to feel a little embarrassed about what's going on with the Pro Bowl because this year the Pro Bowl averaged just 4.7 million viewers across ABC, ESPN, and Disney XD, which is the lowest audience ever for the game, excluding the COVID year, according to Front Office Sports. That's an 18% decline from last year, which they had 5.75 million viewers last year, and a nearly 30% decline from 2 years ago, 6.7 million, which is the first year of the new format. So they shifted this format to the flag football thing to keep people healthy, but we just don't care. We just do not care about it. And when you put the Pro Bowl up against the NBA All-Star Game and the MLB All-Star Game, strangely enough, baseball, who doesn't get things right all the time, they have the most viewers as of last year for their All-Star Game. The MLB All-Star Game had 7.4 million viewers. The NBA All-Star Game had 5.4 million viewers. So last year's Pro Bowl was just a little bit higher than the NBA's, but this year's 4.7 million viewers definitely is not what the NFL wants to see, and they're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to just cancel it. That's what they need to do. I'd much rather see the skills competition than actually see this flag football game. And honestly, I know the players are getting paid. I'm pretty sure they get paid a small amount to do the Pro Bowl, so that's probably why they want to go, some of those guys. But the Pro Bowl is just, when you're naming a Pro Bowler, it doesn't mean much anymore, at least to me, because a lot of those guys end up either not playing in the game because they're playing in the Super Bowl, or they don't want to be injured, and they just got done with their season and they don't want to do the whole Pro Bowl thing. But it's just not something that people want to watch. And it's very strange that people don't want to watch it, because it seems like whatever the NFL does, people flock to, but not this Pro Bowl for some reason. I think the first year that they had it, it was interesting to see professional football players play flag football. And I think even Tyreek Hill 2 years ago took a big hit in the flag football game, which again scared everyone because they moved to flag football so that no one was taking hits. But it's just bad. They need to figure it out. Just get rid of it. I keep saying they need to figure it out, and then I keep giving them the answer, which is just get rid of it. Rod said the Pro Bowl should move to mid-season. I'm fine with that, too. I've said it a couple times, more than a couple times. I hate the bye week structure of the NFL schedule. I think that it's stupid that some teams are in a bye in week 4, and I think the Ravens they took their bye in like week 14. Those are two major extremes. I believe I would have to check, but the Eagles had a bye week very early in their season this year. And I think that they should just all put the bye weeks in the middle of the season, and they could do something like the Pro Bowl so that, they can make some money off of it. Yeah, the Eagles' bye week this year was week 5. So they haven't outside, let's see, did they get the bye? No, they didn't. So outside of week 5, they've been playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They've been playing 14, 15, 16. This will be their 17th week of playing in a row, which is almost an entire season, which is pretty impressive, honestly, that the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl after playing in week 5. But I just am not. I'm just not a fan of it at all. John on the chat says the funny part is no one cares to watch it. I'm sure nobody cares to listen, but it was still on the radio. I think that's a little bit different. I mean, maybe I would be curious to see like what radio ratings are for the Pro Bowl. And Westwood One, I believe, has to broadcast it, so that's why, because they have a deal with the league. And I think we broadcasted it. I'm not quite sure if we did or not. I should probably know that, but I think on the radio it might be more fun. I don't know. The whole thing just doesn't work for me. And the bye week thing doesn't work for me. So with the bye week thing, you can put it in week 10 or something like that. Every team gets a bye. You do some sort of celebration in that week, and you move forward. And you don't have to worry about this end of the season thing. Because a week 5 bye is not fair. And I've always felt this way about bye weeks and how schedules are made in the NFL and all that. Roger Goodell yesterday spoke, and I would like to address him for a second, because Roger Goodell called the fan theories that the NFL and its officials favor the Chiefs, quote unquote, ridiculous. The NFL Referees Association weighed in today, and they took his comments of it being ridiculous, and they said Commissioner Goodell's comments that it is ridiculous to presume that NFL officials are not doing everything possible to make the right call on every play is spot on. Officiating crews do not work the same team more than twice each regular season. It is insulting and preposterous to hear conspiracy theories that somehow 17 officiating crews, consisting of 138 officials, are colluding to assist one team. You know what I say to that? Doth protest too much, is what someone used to say to me. And I think you're protesting too much. I don't think the referees are actually fixing the games. I'll be serious. Like, I can be a jokester on Gwen and Chris because they can make it known that I'm being a jokester. But here, I have no one to keep me in check. I don't think the referees are legitimately fixing the games. I do think there are a lot of penalties that go in the way of the Chiefs. It benefits the Chiefs. There are a ton of penalties. Against the Texans, there are 2 questionable roughing the passer calls. And the first down thing with Josh Allen and the tush push from the AFC Championship was one of them. Also, the Xavier Worthy catch that hit the ground was another one. And I think when you start calling things ridiculous and preposterous, it doesn't mean that they're doing something wrong, but it means to me that maybe they know that they could see why people are feeling this way. Chiefs fans are never going to admit it. Ever. But I do think there are legit gripes for this, because it's happened a lot. It's happened a lot. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs somehow are able to win every single game that they're a close game that they're in. And maybe they're that good. And they might be. I can't deny that because they're heading to their 5th Super Bowl in the last 6 years. They're looking for their 3rd straight Super Bowl. I mean, you don't win 3 straight Super Bowls if you're not a good team. But they have had some calls that have helped them get to these Super Bowls. Let's see. Katria says, I say there needs to be a Mahomes rule. You don't slide in time, you're a runner. No flag. I think they're going to address that in the offseason. Seriously, I think they will. KG said that's the real problem. Mahomes is definitely taking advantage of existing rules. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. As contrary to popular belief, I don't hate Patrick Mahomes as much as people may think I hate Patrick Mahomes. I think we're watching history. I mean, we could quite possibly... We were impressed by Tom Brady and what he did over his career. But we could be getting another Tom Brady, a better Tom Brady in Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he could win so many Super Bowls. And if Andy Reid says that he is going to coach another year, I know that Andy Reid at a certain point is like, okay, I've done everything that I can do in this game. I guess you could try to catch Bill for Super Bowls, Bill Belichick. But if I was him, I would just stay as the head coach as long as possible until Patrick Mahomes retires, because that's your meal ticket right there is Patrick Mahomes. But back to the referee thing. I understand they have checks and balances. I understand that they have certain processes to make sure that this doesn't happen. But if you look at some of the stats that I've presented, it does seem like the Chiefs get the benefit of a lot of calls. And there's probably Chiefs fans out there right now screaming at me or have already turned off their radio because they don't want to deal with hearing me complain one more time about this whole thing. Later in the statement, the the Referee Association said there are many things that fans can worry about over a 17-game season, such as coaching decisions, player injuries, the weather, and yes, even close calls on incredible plays made by incredible athletes. But you could rest assured that on every single down, NFL officials, both on the field and in the replay booth, are doing everything humanly possible to officiate every play correctly. I believe that. I believe that they're doing everything humanly possible to officiate a play correctly. But you still get some wrong in the worst possible moments for teams that are playing the Chiefs. All right, I'll stop complaining about the Chiefs. I still got a couple days to complain about the Chiefs, so I'll stop doing that. Another story that I saw earlier this morning that is unfortunate. Marcus Jordan, the son of Michael Jordan, he was arrested this morning, Tuesday morning, in Florida on charges of DUI, property damage or personal injury, cocaine possession, and resisting arrest. So he's in a little bit of trouble. He was arrested, I guess, after fleeing a traffic stop. Police said they encountered Jordan when they saw headlights on a set of railroad tracks, and Jordan reportedly asked for help getting his blue Lamborghini SUV off the tracks after he made a wrong turn. The officer said Jordan's speech was slurred. He had bloodshot eyes, smelled of alcohol, and didn't seem to know where he was. There was another passenger in the car. According to the news channel, the arresting officer said they found a, quote, clear plastic baggie with a white powdery substance in his pocket, which later tested positive for cocaine. He is 34 years old. He is out of jail. He posted his bail, and he's going to have to deal with some things, but not a good thing. Like, not a very good thing to have happen when your dad's Michael Jordan. I know it's not my place to be talking about someone with substance abuse issues, but hey, it's kind of crazy to see this happen. I don't know how many sons Michael Jordan has. I don't know much about his kids, but I know that his kids have made some interesting decisions. Like, isn't one of them, this could be false, I'm not going to go with this, but isn't one of them dating, like, Scottie Pippen's wife or ex-wife? Maybe? Don't quote me on that. Do not quote me on that one.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Team Deep says, Mar, watch your words. AI is listening. You're right. I'm going to be putting another Sports Illustrated article telling everybody that I believe the referees are being unfair to all the other teams in the NFL. All right. My daily gripe for today is an article that I found. And so my daily gripe at surface level is people who take selfies. I'm not a big selfie guy. I have taken selfies. I do take selfies here and there. But specifically, people who take selfies when they're like trying to get the best selfie of all time. Like someone, say, on a bridge, they're trying to get a selfie and they fall off the bridge trying to get a selfie. This is what I'm talking about with the selfies. Like one random selfie of you walking down the street, whatever, no big deal. But this is a problem because they're calling it the ultimate selfie. And it's one of the world's most dangerous activities. I'm trying to see. Okay, 480 lives have been taken recently. 379 people have died in selfie-related accidents between 2008 and 2021, with hundreds more sustaining serious injuries. Other sources suggest the toll had risen to as many as 480 fatalities by the end of 2024. So please do not kill yourself trying to take a selfie. Some of the people that were mentioned in this article were someone who was doing a selfie with the running of the Bulls, and he got hurt really bad. Someone who did a selfie by climbing a mountain or something, and ended up like falling while they were taking a selfie off the top of this mountain because they wanted to get the cool picture. Also, this is something I watch all the time. People that like run around tall buildings and climb buildings without any sort of like ropes or anything. I don't know why I watch this because I really don't like heights, and it does actually give me that little fear of height when I'm watching it. But someone tried to take a selfie there. They ended up falling. So it's all today about the selfie. Don't die taking a selfie. Do not be a part of those 480 people that have died taking selfies. Just not worth it, everybody. All right, back tomorrow. Tony and Chris. Another Skraby show. Thank you for sticking in here with me tonight. Mar Skraby out. Matt Skraby out. Have a good night.